Ah yes, Dragon Ball GT. If there was ever a red-headed stepchild in the entire Dragon Ball franchise, this is it. But it goes beyond that. Some Dragon Ball fans hate this show. And really, can you blame them? It's riddled with inconsistencies, filled with incredibly subpar new characters, and the existing characters that we all grew to love are barely themselves. And the whole thing just feels like one big rehash, biting every formula that Dragon Ball Z utilized and bringing nothing new to the table. Oh, and it's not even canon, because Toriyama had nothing to do with it. Even though he kinda did? Anyways, today on Dragon Ball In Depth, we look at the positive side of GT as we talk 5 good things about Dragon Ball GT. So get ready and, like the song says, hold my hand.
この放送はご覧のスポンサーの提供でお送りします。
Number 5.
Baby. To me, Baby is to Dragon Ball GT what Frieza was to Dragon Ball Z, an enemy rooted far from the past with a major beef due to the events that occurred before most of the main characters were even born. In Dragon Ball Z episode 20, Kaio-sama tells Goku about the history of Planet Vegeta, or as it was known then, Planet Plant, and how the Saiyajin waged war with a race called the Sufurujin for control. In the English dub, they were called the Tuffles, but we'll go with the Japanese Sufurujin. But wait, that wasn't in the manga, and thus it wasn't canon. Or was it? Little known fact that Akira Toriyama himself created the entire backstory of this conflict as outlined in Dragon Ball Daizenshu Guidebook number 5. So does that make it canon? It doesn't matter. The point is that Baby is awesome and the most unique creation in Dragon Ball GT. Baby's ability to not only infest the host like a parasite and take control of them, but also make them his zombie is something we hadn't really seen before and provided a dangerous challenge for the Z-Fighters. Baby was a complex villain with a tragic story. Even though he was selfish and sinister himself, he had a legitimate and understandable gripe, and unlike Frieza, he wasn't caught up in his own power and fear. Once he was able to fuse with Vegeta, he attained a number of new abilities, including all of Vegeta's signature moves as well as the awesome Revenge Death Ball. But sometimes, folks, we have to forget the past or else we're doomed to repeat it.
Number 4.
The ending. No, I don't mean the ambiguous and mysterious ending with Goku vanishing with the dragon, or he and Vegeta's descendants duking it out. No, I mean the actual ending video package that replays for us the important events of Goku's life from meeting Bulma to defeating Baby. We go through all of the emotionally charged moments of Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z, revisit some characters from the past, and reflect on this amazing story that took a total of 9 years to tell. In the original Japanese broadcast of this, there was a credit roll at the bottom of the screen thanking every person who worked on all 3 shows. Now that is cool. This was Goku's last goodbye and the end of Dragon Ball for at least a little while.
Number 3.
Golden Uzaru. Come on now, this is awesome. The writing team behind Dragon Ball GT clearly remembered lots of stuff from Dragon Ball Z, including Vegeta's original premonition of the legendary Super Saiyan. I'm sure many people watching the show for years thought, wouldn't it be cool if the 2 transformations that this race is known for could somehow be combined? Golden Uzaru is awesome. Imagine a great ape with unbelievable power, glowing in gold, and out of control. Even though I feel that Golden Uzaru was way too short-lived, I'll never forget the first time I watched this episode and how incredibly excited I was at seeing this and how filled with wonder I was to see what kind of power this form had. Again, it was short-lived, sadly, traded in for purple fur, And it's too bad because to this day, I would have loved to have seen two Golden Uzarus do battle and really lay waste to a galaxy. If you ask me, Golden Uzaru should have been canon, should have been an idea that Toriyama came up with himself, and maybe it was, we're not too sure on that, but I kind of wish that we had seen this in Dragon Ball Z, or maybe Toriyama's outlook himself on this form. But alas, this form will be stuck being a part of Dragon Ball GT and a few video games here and there.
Number 2.
Cool attacks. For as much as people love their Kamehamehas and their Genki Damas, GT took a lot of the classic moves from Dragon Ball Z and gave them new life. We saw the return of the Gallic Gun. We saw a pretty cool red-colored 10 times Kamehameha, and even Goku's Dragon Fist from movie 13 was given extra shine. And also fully stuck GT into that non-canon universe. But let's not talk about that right now. I already mentioned how much I love the Revenge Death Ball too, but my favorite of the new attacks is Super Gogeta's Big Bang Kamehameha. It looks like it really packs a wallop. I find it funny that so many people absolutely love Gogeta, and yet he was only in one episode, but boy did he make an impact. You've got to give the writing team props for making what's old new once more.
Number 1.
The music. The music in Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z was some of the absolute best of any show, in part to such names as Hironobu Kageyama, Shinsuke Kikuchi, and Kenji Yamamoto, even though he kind of plagiarized just a little. While the background music in Dragon Ball GT couldn't really hold a torch to the epic orchestral score that Kikuchi concocted, there were times where it certainly shined. However, the true strength of GT's music came with the songs, its awesome intro theme, and its 4 equally impressive ending songs. Rather than relying solely on somebody like Kageyama to sing, Toei instead utilized bands like Field of View, Zard, Dean, and my favorite, Kudo Shizuka's Blue Velvet, which has a chord that sounds remarkably like the intro to another show. While I personally feel like the Step in the Grand Tour rap song was a complete and utter abortion and a disgrace to humanity itself, I was extremely happy when Funimation re-released the GT series in the green bricks and completely erased the song from existence and instead actually recorded English versions of the aforementioned 5 songs. This made me extremely happy. Are they cheesy and hokey at times? Sure, but Dragon Ball music has always been cheesy, and really that's part of its charm. So yes, time to dust off those old CDs and bump some old school G shit. GT shit, that is. And thus we've come to the end of our list. This video was not made to defend GT because the shortcomings of the show are still there and will always be there as long as humanity exists on this planet. But I thought it would be interesting to look at some of the good things about GT and remind everybody that sometimes things aren't all bad and that sometimes, you know, there is a diamond in the rough, even though it can be quite rough at times. And of course, there's plenty more stuff in GT that I actually do like. The design of the evil dragons, Trunks being the CEO of Capsule Corporation, things like that I do enjoy, but overall, GT is GT, and unfortunately, that's what it's going to be forever, like I said. So, thanks again for watching Dragon Ball In Depth, and I will catch you down the road.